And welcome back. Today's video is on trust in God, not superficially, a complete dependence. As a quick refresher, this series is on my 7 learnings from the Book of Nehemiah. The previous video was on lesson number 1, which is I learned to pray without delay. And today the video is on trust in God. So, as the story continues, let's start with a little bit of a recap. So, Nehemiah mourned, fasted, and prayed after hearing the news that the wall in Jerusalem was broken. So, we read this, we study this in chapter 1. Also, in chapter 1 of this book in the Bible, you also read that Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king at that time, who noticed that he was visibly upset. And the king asked him why he looked so upset. When he responded why he was sad, the king asked, "What is it that he wants?" That's chapter 2, verse 4. Nehemiah requested to return to Judah to rebuild the wall for the city. The king granted his request and he went on his way. Okay, so I pause here in the reading as I normally do when I do my devotion, and I do some reflection. And so this time I reflected on what the wall represents. So how I understand it is the wall represents protection and boundary. So without a wall, the city was vulnerable to threats and unwanted attacks. There is a lot of confidence that is placed on walls and the safety it provides. So without it, a city is open to vulnerability. So I reflected if there is any application to our lives. And it came to mind that when things fall apart in our lives that we've placed a lot of confidence in, we too can easily become vulnerable. This may look like not having the resources you once had, the security of a healthy bank account, your health, even the relationship that was worn with much pride, the image that you worked so hard to maintain. When it all comes crumbling down, you're left with vulnerability, which has the potential to trigger unhelpful automatic thoughts that are often informed by messages we grew up believing about our faith, about ourselves. And when unfortunate things happen, these automatic thoughts creep in. Automatic thoughts could be things like, I'm not worthy, I'm being punished by God, I'm always in a season of struggle. These are all unhelpful thoughts that are often not substantiated by evidence but can be so easily believed when hard times show up. So, what I learned is that Nehemiah provides us with an example of the need to trust in God and not to panic. And when the assignment, is so big, complete dependence on God is a non negotiable. Nehemiah had complete trust in God, completely. It was not superficial. He trusted God in whatever was to come next when he returned to Judah. And he had to believe in what he told the people who was helping him to rebuild the wall, that the gracious hand of his God was on him. Wow, that's so powerful. You see it there on the slide, Nehemiah 2, verses 17 and 18. And so, with this divine connection and his trust in God, Nehemiah believed and solicited the belief of those who he was asking for help that they can accomplish this task. Sometimes so just a separate note in my reflection, sometimes I have heard it stated before to trust in God in your circumstance. So be still and know that He is God, which is a well known psalm. It's Psalm 46:10. So I wondered about how does this scripture of be still and know that I am God fit into a list of to-dos, um, or fit into a list of do's rather, because Nehemiah did not sit still. He acted upon the assignment to rebuild the wall. I really pondered on this and it came to mind that the scripture be still and know that I am God is about surrender as opposed to literal be still. And so while he did not sit still literally, he committed the assignment to God and surrendered the task so that God can use him to rebuild the wall, not in his own strength, but through God. I don't know if others have that same reflection of of that scripture rather, Psalm 46:10. That's something that came to my mind is be still and know that I am God is about surrender. And so what that looks like is giving your cares to God. It means trusting in God. It means not visioning what this could look like on the other side. It really is about surrendering the what ifs, surrendering what you think should happen. It is complete vulnerability with God, actually. So, so I realized that it is possible that in this case, be still did not mean you do nothing. It meant dependence and surrender so God could work through Nehemiah. Now, the other side of this may also be literally, where one must relax and stop trying to make things happen. For example, trying to figure out in the middle of the night or something like that, when you're losing, really valuable rejuvenation time, how to solve a problem, how to pay the bills, how to have your children respond to you, whatever, what job to choose, um, whatever it might be. There is that aspect where sit still may literally means sit still, meaning surrender those thoughts and those what ifs, because these kinds of thinking has the potential to really fuel anxiety and again lead to unhelpful thinking patterns that discredit the power of God and weakens your trust in God. Now, of course, we are human and we all have these moments. And I'm talking about myself. I've certainly had many of those moments too. But when they do creep up rather, acknowledge that your thoughts are unhelpful. Pray immediately. We talked about that in learning number one, pray without delay. And think of a more balanced thought, such as, this is hard right now. And, I can learn from it and move forward in time. So, in summary, I learned that trusting in God does not mean you do nothing. Nehemiah still had a task to do, and he trusted God to help him to complete it and remained in prayer throughout the process. So I'll leave it here for today. Thank you so much for watching. Join me for the next video on learning number 3, which is ask for help. Sometimes when our walls in our lives are broken, sometimes we remain silent unnecessarily. But Nehemiah gives us an example. He asked for help. And we will talk more about that during the next video. So hope to see you then. Bye for now.